covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We certainly appreciate you spending part of your day with us, where today we are focusing on just about everything going on in the city of Augusta. The mayor of Augusta just coming off of his State of the City address, his second one. Can't believe it's already been two. And we'll look at how things are going in Augusta and Richmond County, and more importantly, perhaps what the plans are for the future, what things could look like in our town down the road. And as always, we'll help you shape future editions of the Means Report by staying in touch. We'll give you that information at the end of this broadcast. But here at the beginning, let's welcome back the mayor of Augusta to the Means Report. He is so nice to always come and answer our questions. Mayor Garnett Johnson, thanks for being here.
Brad, thank you so much for having me.
I am surprised that you just delivered your second State of the City address, meaning you're 2 years into this 4-year term already. Just generally, how are things going? Are you glad you're the mayor? Do you like the job?
I am beyond proud to represent the city of Augusta. Glad I decided to run this race. You know, it's always been honorable to represent the city either on the state or the national level. Also encouraged that from the support that I've received from the constituents. And even though we've had a lot of things happening in the past 2 years, it is the best job I'd never imagined having.
Well, you're right. So many things have been going on. And I was just listening to your answer and thinking about the last time we were together. It was in our darkest hour, right in the moments and days and weeks after Hurricane Helene. You hit on that in your recent State of the City address, and I want to touch on a lot of the topics you talked about in that speech. And let's just start with the hurricane. All eyes are on debris cleanup. Can you sort of give us a progress report, how that's going and what you foresee happening with debris pickup from here on out?
Certainly. In my opinion, it's going exceptionally well. To date, we've collected almost 2.7 million cubic yards of debris. And if you can imagine, that's more than 4 times that was collected 10 years ago compared to the ice storm.
It's amazing.
We've done it now in 119 days, in which we've been at it for a while, since September 27th. So we're moving, not as fast as some of our residents would like, in that there's still piles, there's still areas that have not received their first pass. But I want to give everybody the confidence to know that every pile of debris will be collected. So don't fret and worry about debris not being collected. We have a plan to pick up all debris that's related to Hurricane Helene.
All right, what about some of that debris that we've been seeing out there? I want to talk about cables and wires on the ground, first of all. So let's just start with that. The big debris trucks with the claws, is it their responsibility to grab the cables and wires as well as the tree trunks?
It is not. The debris that you see that's related to the wires and the cables, those belong to the telecommunications companies. Yeah. And we have 3 that are in this region. It's AT&T, Xfinity, Comcast, and WOW. It is their responsibility to clean up their own lines. We are struggling with a partnership to get them to identify their lines to get them removed, but we're working through that.
Yeah, because from what I hear, one company might not pick up the other company's cables or wires, right?
You're exactly right. So each company is responsible for picking up their own wires. Unfortunately, the city nor the public can remove them. So it is against the law to touch them. So just know that we are working on a plan and formulating a strategy to get them removed.
Mayor Johnson, what about those root balls? Are y'all going to pick those up? And some of them seem too large to be picked up. Can you address that?
I certainly can. Root balls will be picked up, but they will be picked up last. We did employ a strategy to start removing root balls that were in the roadways. So a lot of people assume that we were picking them up, but our first pass was to get them out of the roadways to make sure that we have safe roadways. But those root balls are so heavy, they require a different type of equipment to remove them. And we're going through removing them as we've identified them.
All right, so thank you for the Hurricane Helene cleanup update. And I thought that that's the only bad weather event we were going to talk about today. And lo and behold, here comes this snowstorm How would you assess the city's response to the snowstorm? Sort of not a ton we can do, I guess, until after it falls and we start working on the roads and whatnot. But what about the way the city prepared for and responded to that?
You know, we have a phenomenal team at the city, both in the administrator's office as well as our EMA fire chief, Chief Antonio Burden, our sheriff. The response has been overwhelming in that the resources that we've poured into making sure that our streets and roads are safe, making sure that those that need warm shelter are provided warm shelter. And we've done a phenomenal job at that. You know, this is our second occurrence of the year. We had a brief iteration a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
And then this week we had a second iteration. And I'm praying that we don't have a third or fourth, but not sure what the future holds.
I know, stay off the internet because it does kind of look ahead and see perhaps more winter stuff coming. I'll leave that to the meteorologists. But what about the hurricane and the snowstorm as far as what the city may have learned from that? From your perspective, did our crews, our people learn from these two events and make us better equipped to respond in the future?
I think the hurricane certainly prepared us for future events in that I recall on September 27th, no one had to call anybody. We just assembled around 10 a.m. after we were able to find our ways out of our neighborhoods. And we went to work immediately, making sure that we met the needs of our citizens, provide shelter for those who needed it, provide safe havens for others who were trapped. But it showed us that we have the ability to do this. We have the leadership in Augusta, Georgia, to make sure that our citizens are protected.
You're right. I mean, it was impressive. I remember those first hours after the storm hit when we all woke up to that devastation Friday morning. And y'all were on the job from day one. And so thank you for that and all your team at the city and the county. Do you think that our Masters guests will be able to tell there was a hurricane when they come here? Will there be, you know, and I know that trees and things are missing and gone for a long time, but as far as the way the streets look, will they be able to tell something bad happened to us?
I think it'll be evident that we did experience a pretty catastrophic event.
Yeah.
If you just look at a tree canopy, for example, we're not sure what Augusta is going to look like in the spring, especially with so many of the dogwood trees, so many of the flowering trees that won't be able to be seen. However, I believe we will be in a position to put on a great Masters tournament with the help of our great partners over at that great golf course, as well as the city's effort to clean the city up. I believe we'll have a great tournament.
Probably my last question about storm-related things, and that is there a silver lining to this in that once we rebuild and once we put all of those new power poles up and get some, you know, all the repair work is finished, will Augusta look better and be better? Will we have better utilities, a better infrastructure because it'll all be new construction?
It will be much better. That's our plan. We have a long-term recovery consultant that's assisting us with making sure that we build Augusta back better than we were prior to Hurricane Helene. We have the support at both our federal and state partners to make sure that we're seeking funding opportunities to repair our infrastructure, to put mitigation plans in so that when the next catastrophic event occurs, that we will be better prepared. And that's important to make sure that we maintain safety. As you know, we're hiring a new EMA director, a full-time EMA director. Chief Burton has done a great job, but helping us restore and recover from Hurricane Helene certainly requires the focus of an individual 100% of the time. And that's why we believe strongly that position will help us.
One more question that you just made me think of about reimbursement for these expenses. At first we thought, okay, FEMA's going to give us all of our money back. We don't want to see the city of Augusta spend all of its money on storm cleanup and run out of cash. Is FEMA going to help us even as more and more time passes?
FEMA has promised to help us. We have received tens of millions of dollars in expedited funding as we have cleaned up our city at a cost of $500,000 a day.
A day.
$500,000 a day.
Man.
So they have been great partners, both FEMA and, of course, GEMA with the state of Georgia. And I have the complete confidence that the city of Augusta will recoup most of our money as a result of cleaning up from Hurricane Helene. This long-term recovery partner is also going to help us seek grant opportunities and other additional funding that should cover the gaps where we're not able to receive all of our reimbursements. As you know, right now, we're receiving 100% reimbursement from FEMA through 120 days, and on February 4th, that 120-day time expires unless we're extended. However, after then, that reimbursement goes to 75%, in which the city of Augusta will be responsible for half of that.
Yeah, we want to try to get as close to February 4th as we can. I will say this, Steve Castle, who is handling the debris cleanup for y'all, told me that the trucks, I think if I remember correctly, worked from those debris pickup trucks, ran from sunup to sundown. And he's right. I've seen them from the crack of dawn right until it's almost dark. So they're trying as fast as they can to pick everything up.
They really are. And, there's always been some concerns about residents who live on the south side or in South Richmond that they're not receiving the services that they need. But I rest assured that we are focusing on South Augusta to make sure that the piles are cleaned up throughout the entire city of Augusta. As I mentioned again, no one will be left behind with piles in their yard as a result of Hurricane Helene.
Okay, that is really good to hear. Thank you, Mayor Johnson. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Augusta's mayor and talk about how things are going on the commission, what he anticipates with the upcoming review of the city charter on the Means Report. Welcome back to the Means Report. Augusta Mayor Garnett Johnson is our special guest. We're grateful to him for spending this entire edition with us. And Mayor Johnson, I want to move from debris cleanup from the storm, both Helene and the snowstorm, and talk about how things are going at City Hall, if you will. First of all, you now have a vote. Yes. You've had it for a few months. How's that going? Have you noticed the fact that you have a vote to have made any difference in the way commission matters are handled? Have you felt that extra privilege yet?
Huge amount of difference. As I campaigned on, having the ability to make decisions to create an effective, efficient form of government certainly is important. Me having a vote very rarely, so long as all of our colleagues that serve on the Augusta Richmond County Commission are present, we're able to make decisions and move progress. Whether good or bad, hopefully in the best interest of the city, but my vote was monumental in making that happen, the vote for the mayor's office.
One of the things that you've been pushing is a review of the city's charter. It's my understanding that a committee will review our charter. Is that correct, first of all? And what do you anticipate as far as potential changes to our town that we might notice if somebody tweaks that charter?
Well, the commission has approved establishing a charter review committee where the mayor gets to select an appointee as well as each commission. I see them doing a thorough review of our charter just to see how our governance operates. Augusta is an anomaly in that we've had a consolidated government for almost 30 years, yet we've never had a charter review, whereas most consolidated governments, they operate under the premise of having a periodic review. So we're way overdue in that, and I'm hoping that they will help us and guide us along a path to continuing to create a more efficient, effective governance.
Is there something monumental that we might notice where you'd say, oh my goodness, we have a different charter, Augusta has changed, or will it be more subtle things that maybe the average person won't notice?
I think it'll be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
One of the struggles I've had as the mayor is that I always struggle with the ability to get decisions made. Our current charter states that it requires 6 votes to get some of the simplest things done. It's cleaning up our city or cutting the grass. People often ask who's in charge. I tell them 6 votes is in charge. And I don't know if that's an effective form of governance moving forward. Hopefully we'll come to a consensus to create a governance to where we can make decisions, where we can be more accountable. Because as you know, I always struggle with the condition of our city and its appearance and how it looks. I've ran on a campaign of cleaning Augusta up. It's in cutting the grass. We still struggle with doing that. So hopefully this charter review will get us to a point where we will be accountable to that. Being accountable to the taxpayers, making sure that we keep the millage rates low and we're delivering services that we promise as a governance.
But no matter what recommendation or potential changes are on the table, the voters have to say yes or no.
The voters will have the opportunity to say yes or no, and that's important.
Okay.
I've stated numerous times, any changes to our charter should not be made by the commission, nor the legislative delegation, the Georgia General Assembly, nor the governor. The voters of Augusta Richmond County should vote on any changes to our charter.
Since we last talked, we've seen 2 new commissioners come on board, Tina Slindak and Don Clark. How are things going with the commission overall? Is everybody pretty much in early 2025 getting along?
I think so. You know, both Don and Tina are very bright individuals. Both bring a wealth of knowledge, not only throughout the community, but a wealth of experience in leadership. So we're glad to have them on board. Both represent their constituencies very well. So I'm proud to have them.
So many new people, a new sheriff since we last met. Eugene Brantley is now in office. What do you anticipate as far as yours and the commission's support of law enforcement in Augusta?
Yeah, it's a renewed sense of optimism as it relates to law enforcement. Like me, I'll often tell people I work hard at anything that I do, but Sheriff Brantley works equally as hard. And you can just tell that he's out there with his deputies and his department every single day and night and throughout the jail. So I think the citizens of Augusta Richmond County should be proud to have him and his energy that he's bringing to the community.
All right, let's move outside of the new faces in our town and move to a new face at the top. That's a new president. President Trump is in office now. You had a great relationship with the folks in the Biden administration, whether it was for the betterment of our city overall or whether it was storm cleanup. Washington folks would come down here and check on us. Do you anticipate a similar relationship now that there's a new administration?
Of course I do. You know, I tell everybody I serve in a nonpartisan role.
Yeah.
I don't see Democrat nor Republican. I serve Augusta, and my only fight is Augusta. President Trump is now our president, and he's welcome, and he will be invited to Augusta every opportunity I get. I was just at the U.S. Conference of Mayors last week, and we're in touch with his administration because, you know, it's critical that we try to continue to recover our city from Hurricane Helene, and we have a lot of other initiatives moving, and regardless of who's the president or who's the governor, Augusta has to be in the game, and that's my job and my goal to make sure that Augusta's represented regardless who's in the White House or who's in the governor's office.
All right, let's go from Washington back to our town and some of the things you hit on in your State of the City address. And one of the most impressive, I thought, was the new Henry Brigham Center, $8+ million in renovations and amenities. You made a point to mention that. Can we expect more of that going forward, where the residents, the citizens of Augusta have great community centers because they mean so much to so many?
They mean so much to so many, and as you know, in November, we get the opportunity to vote on a SPLOST 9 package. Hopefully the voters will approve more amenities like that, the $8.3 million that was put in the budget for the Henry Brigham Center. As you know, Augusta is in our recreation center serves two populations, our young and our elderly.
Yep.
And it's important that we continue to offer services and amenities and recreational activities to all of those. So I anticipate a continuation of that as we perhaps update some of our older recreation centers and look at building new ones.
All right, so new and better community centers can certainly help take Augusta to the next level. So can a great transit system. What are your thoughts on how our city buses are doing these days? It seems like they're constantly being upgraded. They're
constantly being upgraded. We're going to have some new electric buses in this region. We're really excited about that, a grant that was given to our transit department. You know, transportation is the key to employment. People that can't get to jobs often just feel left out of our democracy. So making sure that we have adequate transportation to those that need it. I would like to increase our ability to service our southern corridor out in South Richmond County, because that right now seems to be a gap for me. If you live out at the Windsor Spring Tobacco Road corridor, how do you get downtown in a timely manner to get to any employment? So we're going to see if we could make some improvements there. We're looking at different forms of transportation, micro transit opportunities, because sometimes a big bus or a larger bus may not be efficient enough to go to South Richmond and make it downtown. So we're exploring all of our options to see how we can increase transportation for all of our residents across the county.
All right, so getting to and from your job via some form of transit is important. Also, being able to afford a roof over your head once you do have a good job is important. What is Augusta doing when it comes to creating more affordable housing?
We're doing a great job of that through the Augusta Housing Authority. I've said many times, I believe in dignity in housing. In my opinion, sometimes some of these older forms of housing projects don't work. The Augusta Housing Authority is building a new project out in the South Corridor off of Deansbridge Road. We're going to have a mixture of workforce, affordable, and market rate housing, which is important. Unfortunately, we're not doing it at a fast enough pace, though, and housing seems to be a struggle for every city, every community across our country. Yet we're trying our best to make sure that we keep pace to create that affordable workforce housing for those that need it.
How important is it for the city to work with the private sector to get some of the things you've mentioned accomplished? And how are we doing as far as eliminating the red tape for those private companies to get licenses and to get other things they need from the municipal building?
You know, I mentioned that in my State of the City speech, and there was an ad at the last minute in that. I've heard from the residential development community and the commercial development community. Do you realize Richmond County lags behind all of our neighbors with permits for residential housing? And that's disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I made a pledge to improve that in 2025. We need to cut the red tape so that we can build more affordable housing, more housing opportunities for those that want to live in Augusta, Richmond County. And that's important. Not only that, we have to increase our commercial permits. More businesses that want to operate in Augusta, Richmond County, we should not be putting barriers and obstacles in place that prevents that. And that's going to be my focus.
What would you say to a small business owner, a potential small business owner who's watching right now saying, I wonder if this is a good time for me to try to set up shop in Augusta, Georgia. If I did, could I make it?
I would encourage them to do it. As you know, I'm a small business owner myself. Yeah. That's one of the toughest jobs you can have. And I think it's even tougher than being mayor. But I will highly encourage you to consider Augusta, Richmond County. Know that you have an advocate in the mayor's office. Know that you have an advocate in our government, that we highly encourage you to come and move your business to Augusta, Richmond County. And we're here to help you.
Probably my last question. It's about garbage pickup. As the year ended, I remember there being some sort of debate about hammering out a new deal with the people who pick up our trash. Has that been done yet, or are we still month to month on our trash pickup? Right
now, we're on a 90-day contract extension because we have not decided what direction we want to move with our garbage collection. I have a problem with the current presented contract in that it does not offer the ability to do any recycling. I'm a huge recycler.
Yeah, that's kind of stopped.
It's kind of stopped. So we need to re-implement that, take a look at the proposals again and see how we can move this agreement forward where it includes recycling and increases the availability for Augusta, Richmond County to have their trash collection done.
All right, that's important. No, people care about that big time. Mayor Garnett Johnson, thank you for your time this morning. You're so busy and I appreciate it. And thanks for all you do to lead our city.
Thank you so much, Brad, for the opportunity, and I'm honored to lead the city.
Mayor Garnett Johnson, our special guest today on the Means Report. When we come back, how you can help us get more great guests like the mayor. Stay with us.